Hey again. As some of you probably already know, maybe some of you don't, I began wrestling in high school, and I think it was one of the funnest things that I ever did. I was completely new to it when I was a freshman in high school, and it was really hard at first, and I really loved it. I did it all 4 years of high school, and I even went on like a cultural exchange thing to Japan for wrestling. I thought that was awesome. But when I graduated high school, there's not really any avenues to continue wrestling. There's collegiate wrestling in college, but I decided I didn't want to do that because I was kind of tired of cutting weight, honestly, and that did detract my love from it a little bit. But I decided to try and stay connected with it by officiating, so being a referee for high school and middle school wrestling. So I got involved with that, and I started with middle school and actually elementary too, which was, I think, elementary school age wrestling. So like, what is that, like 6 to 10 maybe? I'm not really sure how old you are in elementary school, but it's funny because usually in most sports, especially with little kids, there's a lot of crying sometimes, and with elementary school age and sometimes middle school as well. Most of the time the loser's crying by the end, but with that age group sometimes the winner's crying too, just because it's a hard sport and you try not to laugh because it's not funny for them because they're upset. So I did that for a bit. It was good. I did that for 1 year. There's a season, so the first year I don't remember. I think I started halfway through, so I only did a couple months of that. And it's fine. There's a lot of rules you have to remember, but I had wrestled before, so I knew generally what to do. There's a lot of specific rules that are kind of hard to remember that I had to study up on. It was good enough pay. I did it in Oregon. It was like $20 an hour, which is nice. The second year I was excited because I was going to do more high school age wrestling, and that's a little bit more fun. The higher up in age groups, I think it gets a little more stressful because it's a little bit more important in my opinion. When there's 5 or 6, it doesn't really matter who wins, but when you get to high school age, it matters a little bit more because they're older and they actually want to be there. But I did a couple of high school matches. That was fun. Unfortunately, a lot of times I feel like I was kind of thrown to the wild at a lot of these tournaments. I was only like 19 or 20 years old at this point because I was just out of high school, and I was officiating with a lot of older people, had friendships and knew all the coaches are in the area, but I didn't know any of those people because I never cared to. I didn't need to. Unfortunately, I did not stick with it. I wish I could have. I really do, because I really love the sport. But I realized, along with a lot of other jobs that I've had, that if the people that are in charge of you that are like supposed to have your back don't have your back, the job is just not fun at all. Case in point, one day, and this was not the day that I quit, a couple weeks after, just because I wanted to finish out the season. I felt bad for leaving my regional group abruptly because they already didn't have enough people. One day I was at a tournament, and it was middle school age, and it was their regional tournament, I believe. There was also elementary schools, but it was mainly middle school. And so at the regional tournament, at that age level, if you win, or I think get third and up place, you go on to the next level, which is like another weekend or something like that. So it's pretty important for the people that care about it. And I was refereeing a match that was pretty intense. 2 kids that were really good for their age group. I think these were probably 8th graders, so they were more mature. They knew what they were doing. And I was doing my best to stay on my toes because one of the kids was being super aggressive. And there's like a line between being aggressive and like performing well, and then being aggressive just to be mean. And this kid was just being mean. So I was towing the line of having to give points to the kid that was being really aggressive. But also at some point, if you're just doing things to be mean, then there's penalizations for that as well. So I was towing that line, and both coaches were mad at me because the coach that had the kid that was being aggressive wanted me to give him points, and the coach that had the kid that was losing wanted me to penalize the other kid because he was being super aggressive, and it was hard to find that line. And so we're getting down to the end of the match. I think there's like 30 seconds left or something like that. We're getting close, and one kid's up by like 1 or 2 points, the kid that was being aggressive. And I'm watching closely because I want to see if someone's get pinned or someone gets away, because it'll matter. It'll change the course of the match. Now, let me preface this. Earlier in the day, they already had to escort a parent out. The police had to come mediate the situation because he had like stormed onto the mat and was yelling at another ref that was with me. And so I was already kind of worried about that. And all of a sudden, I feel somebody like grab me under the like armpits and like shakes me, turns me around really quick. And I look, and so I was like, is this happening to me too? So this dude turns me around, and he's like, I don't know, 2 inches shorter than me. So I like look down at him. He grabs me by the collar, and he's like, hey. And I shove him like in the chest. He's like, I have no idea who this is. I was like, hey, don't don't touch me, get your hands off me, because I thought I was being assaulted, but I was technically. And he looks at me, and this guy's red in the face. Like, I've never seen someone more angry than this dude. And I'm like, I don't know what is happening, but he grabs me by the collar again. And he says, listen. And the best part is the kids behind me are still wrestling. They're still going at it. So I can't watch them. The dude grabs me again. I shove him again. And he says, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? And I'm like, I'm looking at his face. I've never seen this guy in my life. And I'm like, no. And he's still trying to grab me by the collar. And he's like, look. And I keep repeating, like, don't touch me. Dude, like, get off of me. And he's like, do you know who I am? I sign your effing checks. You better listen to me right now. And I'm like, first of all, I don't get paid. I was like, who is this guy? Who pays me? Because I get paid by like my referee commission thing, not by. I've never seen this guy, and so I was like, well, maybe this is like some referee dude or something like that. He never even told me who he was. I learned later, and he was like, hey, the clock never started, and I was like, and still, so this is only like a 10-second interaction. The kids are still wrestling behind me. And he's still grabbing me by the shirt, like moving me around, trying to show me stuff. At that point, I should have just left because I didn't know at the time, but he was the coach of the school that we were at. Neither of his kids were wrestling, but he was like the quote-unquote tournament director. And I don't even remember exactly what I did after that. I think I just like stopped the match, started over, and I don't even remember who won after that. It was because I was so upset about it. I called my commissioner for my referees association. He wasn't there. Usually they're there, but I called him. I was like, hey, some dude said he paid my checks and I had to do this, and he like practically assaulted me. Like, what should I do? And he was like, oh, like, I don't know, let me try and figure out who that is. And I was like so upset. I don't remember what happened the rest of the day. I continued refereeing, but then at the next meeting of our referee association for like our area, it got brought up. I think what was unfortunate about the entire situation is that all of the like people that had been doing it for a while, the people that had all these relationships with the coaches in the area, they didn't really think anything of it. They're like, oh yeah, that's just so-and-so. That's just what he does. That's fine. You're like, it happens to everybody. It was really just surreal, like the lengths that these people that were supposed to have my back would go, like the lengths that they would go to protect one of their friends. And they would even justify something as absurd that happened to me, because nothing ever came of it, which is what's funny, which is sad. And I try not to be cynical about stuff like that, but that's kind of what turned me off from participating in that sport for a while. I did like 1 or 2 more events for refereeing, just because like I needed money. But after that, I didn't want any part of it because I knew those people did not have my back as much as they said they did, and they wanted me to come back the next season, but I was like, nope, I can't. I do not get paid enough to get treated that way, and I know you guys don't have my back. I didn't say it explicitly like that. I was mainly just like, no, after last season, I don't have any desire to do that. But it's unfortunate because sports like that need referees, but referees are treated like that in a lot of places. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't, people harp on referees a lot, and maybe sometimes they deserve it, but most people have never even tried to be a referee. It's funny how many people are like, oh, these refs suck, or, oh, we need new refs, but how many of those people have ever tried to do it? Because it's hard. So, yeah, I mean, there's not really a happy ending to this story, because nothing really good came of it, but I wish there could have been, but not all stories can be happy. But appreciate listening. But I guess if nothing else, I guess just try to be the person that makes a difference in situations like that. Even if it's not a huge position of power, don't let people get away with stuff. Don't let like people that are close to you get away with being a jerk, because we need less jerks in this world. Thanks for watching. See ya.